Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? I was looking at a tweet from Spotrac, and disclosure, I don't know if I'm even saying this right. I reference this website a lot. It's a great website. It's a great resource that looks at all the contract structures for all the professional sports teams and all that sort of stuff. It's Spotrac. For a long time, I think I said Spotrac, and then y'all told me, no, it's Spotrac. But do you know what it is? I don't know how to say it.
I think it's Spotrac.
It's a terrible name. What is Spotrac?
I have no clue. I guess it's like Sport Track. I don't
But
know.
there's no K. There's
Yeah,
just a
I don't
C.
know.
It's a terrible name. Anyway, terrible name. You did an awful job naming your company, but it's a great resource. I appreciate it. The guy's name is Michael Giannini, who's and I might not be saying that right. Something I've learned as a guy with a hard to pronounce last name, you want things that are easy to pronounce in your life. So if your last name is Giannini, Giannitti.
Sounds very Italian, though. I like it.
Of course it is. That's great. But give me like sportssalary.com. You know what? Something like that.
Call it what it is?
Call a thing by its name.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, there was something simplistic to that. So I told Musso that a long time ago. And I just called him Musso. So you know I was being sincere there. They did a thing where they listed the actual cash spent for NFL teams over the last 3 years combined. So we all know the salary cap is what it is, but what does it cost to your team to get within that cap compliance? What are you actually spending year to year? Like, for example, if the Saints restructure a contract, well, part of that is, you got to convert salary to signing bonus and spread that money out over years. Well, you still have to pay the signing bonus now. That's cash out of pocket. In the past 3 seasons, 2021, 22, 23, the Cleveland Browns have spent the most money at $1.33 billion, followed by the Buffalo Bills at $1.3 billion, and the New Orleans Saints at $1.25 billion. The New Orleans Saints, who have missed the playoffs in 3 consecutive years, have spent the third most dollars in the entire NFL over the last 3 years. There is a positive spin here. And I don't mean it even to say spin, because this is, I believe, a positive. And that is, you have an owner in Mrs. Benson who, just like her husband before her, is willing to spend money. I'm a Yankees fan. You all know that. The early 2000s, George Steinbrenner knew he wanted to live forever and was trying like hell to buy another championship, as many championships as he could before he died. And they had their three-peat, 98, 99, 2000. And so much of that 4 titles in 5 years, was built on the back of great drafts and scouting and responsible free agency. You drafted Jeter and Posada and Rivera and Bernie, and you had these great these great cornerstone players, and then you added Roger Clemens, and you added Tino and Brocious. You know, these, not these high-priced free agents, but glue locker room guys, Mike Mussina. And then they started winning, and the boss was like, I got to get as many of them as I can. Jason Giambi, come on down. Kevin Brown, come on down. Randy Johnson, come on down. A-Rod, come on down. He just kept buying players. They don't really do that anymore, not to that degree anyway. But part of me looks at it and goes, you can vilify that, but damn it, don't you also respect the desire to win? Right? Like, isn't that what, as a fan, you want? You want your ownership that is committed to winning at whatever cost? That's Mrs. Benson. Like, she's willing. Like, I want an owner that hires great people and gets out of the way and lets them do their job and is willing to provide the resources for whatever they need to do their job. That's what the Bensons, Tom Benson prior, now Gail Benson, does. But you've got to consider the ROI. If you're going to spend all of this money, what are you getting in return? And the Saints, despite spending the third most dollars of any team in the NFL over the last 3 years, have nothing to show for it. 9-8, 7-10, 9-8. You haven't made the playoffs in 3 years. So you got to look at the people you've hired to spend your money and say, hey, I'm doing my part. You said you needed this money. Where's my return? And it ain't showing up, which means you're getting really close to the time where Mrs. Benson's going, hey, Mick, clock's ticking here, fam. Like, contrast Gail Benson to Jerry Jones, a guy who cannot remove himself from the process. Dan Snyder, who cannot remove himself from the process. Who's the rich guy in Carolina who just keeps firing everybody in every sport all the time? Cannot remove himself from the process. Gail Benson is the antithesis of that. She'll spend money. She'll hire people. She'll get out of the way. What do you need to be successful? Here it is. Great. But when you get to the point where you're given those resources and you're not getting a return, it's time to move on. And I think you're past that point with Mickey Loomis. I've said that. Loomis, Dennis Allen, Derek Carr, ain't nobody crushed them more than me. And yes, it's time to move on from Mickey Loomis. But look also at that graphic and look at where the best teams in the NFL are. The Kansas City Chiefs are 16 on the list at $1.09 billion. Right in the Kansas City Chiefs, smack dab in the middle. Look at the Niners. The Niners are 9th. So yes, there are teams that spend a lot. Now, a big part of that for the Niners is they missed on Trey Lance. You gave up a whole lot of assets to go up. You didn't hit, and now you paid a lot of guys. But the benefit for him is you got a 7th-round rookie contract on your quarterback. Number 2 on the list is Buffalo. What is the team? What did we see this week with Buffalo? What did we see this week with Buffalo? Muse, what did we see this week with Buffalo?
They cut everybody.
Why did they cut everybody?
Von Miller.
Why did they cut everybody?
They wanted to pay Von Miller.
No. Why did they cut everybody?
Salary cap.
Cap. Lot of veterans. Instead of, hey, Trey White, we're going to restructure your deal and kick it 5 years into the year because we want to keep you. We're going to bite the bullet. We're going to let you go. We're going to try to find someone who can play corner, or we'll bring you back at a lesser dollar amount if we can. That's the responsible thing to do. It's not easy, but it's the responsible thing to do. Buffalo was number 2 in money spent. Like they were going for it. They had Josh Allen. They're right on the doorstep. Man, they are all in, going for it. Brought in playoff Lenny this year. I mean, they were going for it. And they fell short. When the Saints fell short, what did they do? They went back to the cash machine, back to the ATM, and right back to the craps table. What did Buffalo do? They said, I'm going to lick my wounds. I'm going to go home, get some dinner, get a good night's sleep. We'll reconvene tomorrow and come up with a plan and try again the next day. Big difference in approach. And you're going to see that. You're going to see next year, Buffalo's number is going to come down because they've said, we're going to take a different approach, a different tack. We got Josh Allen. How do we build around him in a responsible way? So we'll see. Pretty fascinating. Again, Spotrac, awful name, listed the actual dollars spent by organization. By the way, the very bottom, dead last in the NFL on that list, number 32, Chicago Bears. Number 31, Atlanta Falcons. Number 30, New England Patriots. Washington Commanders. Arizona Cardinals. How about Detroit at 27? Had a pretty good year, didn't they? But look at the bottom of the list. Chicago Bears. They're not spending. They're not committing anything. They don't like their coach. They don't like their quarterback. They're not committing anything. It's very indicative of how ownership approaches their model. Not saying the Saints are wrong for having an owner that's willing to spend, but you got to get a return. And if you don't, you need a new path. It's time for a new path. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.